Hi everybody, welcome back to In The Huddle. I'm Jillian Kushner. Today is Thursday, so we're going to talk about the big games this weekend, and since I'm going to be out of town next week, we'll talk about the big games for then as well. So before you go, please subscribe below and like the Facebook page in the description box, and let's get started. So obviously I can't predict the big games for next week because I don't know what's going to happen this weekend, but as far as this week, here's some of the big games. First one being Philadelphia Eagles versus the New York Giants. So the New York Giants are now at 10-4, and the Eagles, my poor Eagles, at 5-9. We are not going to be in the playoffs. We are officially eliminated from playoff contention. It hurts, but I'm going to be okay. We're going to be okay. But the Giants are alive and well in that wild card spot. The Giants are good as far as playoff goes. They have that first wild card spot, and they are 2 games ahead of the second place person being Green Bay, so they're fine when it comes to that. Obviously, they should still win, but this is really just going to be for the Cowboys fans out there. So right now, the wild card spots in the AFC is Kansas City at 10-4 in the first spot, and Miami at 9-5. So Baltimore is this first spot out at 8-6, and then Tennessee at 8-6 as well. So any games that those teams have are going to be big, except for Kansas City. They are fine. They are 10-4, so they're basically good. Like, they need to win, obviously, but it's really Miami's spot that's on the line. And Miami is playing 7-7 Buffalo this weekend. This should be an okay game for them, but right now the Bills are favored to win it, which is surprising, but Miami does need to win this because if they don't, then that spot is basically up for grabs. And like I said, they only have a 1-game lead on Baltimore, and Baltimore is playing Pittsburgh this weekend at 9-5, and Pittsburgh is very good, and that is not going to be an easy game to win. And Pittsburgh is at the top of their division right now at 9-5. They have not yet clinched their playoff berth, but they probably could after another win. So both of those teams really do need to win this, but that'll be a good game for sure between those two, and those two teams don't like each other, so it would work. As I've said, there's a lot of rivalries in the NFL, and this is just another one of them. I also mentioned Tennessee, and Tennessee is playing 2-12 Jacksonville this weekend, so that should be an easy win. Like I said, anything can happen. That should be an easy win, which would give Tennessee, some help. So if Baltimore were to lose this weekend and Tennessee were to win, then Tennessee would jump up in front of Baltimore, and then they'd be that one spot out of the wild card, so that could make things pretty interesting. Again, anything can happen. I'm not saying Tennessee's for sure going to win this, but they should win this. And then for the NFC, like I said in the wild card, it's going to be the New York Giants at 10-4, so they're good. They're good. They're ahead of everybody else. Then Green Bay, that second spot at 8-6. Tampa Bay is in at 8-6 at the 1 spot out, and then Washington at 7-6-1. And Minnesota at 7-7, which is important because of that tie that Washington has. And Green Bay is playing 7-7 Minnesota this weekend. Green Bay at 8-6. They should be able to win this. Like I said, they had a pretty impressive win last weekend, and it's just like this thing Aaron Rodgers can do. He's incredible under 2 minutes. I don't know how he does it, but he's the best he can play under 2 minutes left in the game. He's phenomenal, and he just did his Aaron Rodgers thing and won that game last weekend. So they should be able to win this. Minnesota Vikings have Adrian Peterson back from injury. Love Adrian Peterson, so I'm so glad he's back. They're an amazing running back, best running back in the league. So he's still getting used to playing back in the game, being on the field, stuff like that, but that definitely makes the game a little more interesting because he makes the Vikings a billion times better. Now, Washington at 7-6-1 is playing Chicago at 3-11. Yes, Chicago is not having a good year. Chicago is actually who Green Bay beat last weekend. Why it came down to the last second, I don't know. It's just one of those days. So Chicago does have it in them to play a good game. So that's by no means should they rule them out. But that's not a game you can lose, especially not to them. And the way the position Washington is in right now, and it's so close in that playoff race, they need to really hang on, because it could get interesting if Green Bay were to lose and such and such. And lastly, Tampa Bay at 8-6. Sadly, they did not beat the Cowboys like I asked them to, so I'm a little annoyed with them. But they're playing New Orleans at 6-8. New Orleans is obviously a good team despite their record. Drew Brees, one of the best quarterbacks I've ever played the game. I do think that Tampa will be able to pull this one out and improve their record. And then Week 17 is going to be the weekend, the first day of 2017, and then we're going to have the wild card. The playoffs are going to start, and it's going to be real fun, and I'm excited about that. So we'll do a whole video about those playoffs. Now let's jump into some college football, because we got some bowl games coming up. So since I can't record next week, all the games are really going to happen before I can record next. So bowl season's going to be over the next time I see you guys, which sucks because I love college football. I've already mentioned the playoff games. You guys know those games are huge. You should watch those playoff games. They're going to be big. But I want to talk about the big matchups other than those playoff games because those are the obvious big matchups. You know what I'm saying? So let's talk about some other big games coming up in the bowl games. So the first big bowl game, I think, well, when I say big, it's a stretch, okay? It's not big because it's not a playoff game or anything like that, but it's big because of the matchup. This is going to be the Alamo Bowl with number 12 Oklahoma State at 9-3 against number 10 Colorado at 10-3. This actually is like kind of funny. Colorado used to be in the Big 12. Oklahoma State is in the Big 12. Colorado left the Big 12 a couple of years ago, and then they were pretty good at football when they were in the Big 12. Then they just kind of fell off, and then this year they're back in it, and they're a pretty good team, which is crazy. So this will be a good, like, old Big 12 game, kind of. It's a fun matchup. These two teams are both very talented, very good teams. I think it's going to be a good game. Alamo Bowl, not the best bowl game to go to, and I would know that because Texas has been there quite a few times in the last few years. So it's not the best game, but hey, you made a bowl game, might as well. I think it'll be a good game. I think it's going to be a fun one between those two teams, an old Big 12 rivalry back in the day. This next game isn't really like some big game to watch, but it's like almost become a big game because of the drama surrounding it. So this is the Sun Bowl between number 18 Stanford at 9-3 against unranked North Carolina at 8-4. The reason there's drama here is Stanford has this amazing running back named Christian McCaffrey. And McCaffrey decided he's not going to play in his last game of his senior year, which I'm totally fine with. He's been battling injuries. He's a guy who's going to the NFL. He's going to make the NFL. I personally wouldn't risk it for a Sun Bowl. This game is in El Paso. Like, it's not a big bowl game. It's not important, and I wouldn't play in it either, honestly, especially if I'm injured. Why risk that? He will be drafted into the NFL. He is a great running back. He will be drafted, and I wouldn't risk that injury. Why? Like, you're already been battling injuries. I wouldn't risk it. So, not everybody agrees with me. A lot of people are very upset that he does not want to play in this bowl game. I don't really know why people care so much, but they do. So I think there's going to be like a lot of drama around this, especially if Stanford loses. Whew, it'll be some drama. And UNC's a great team, Stanford's a great team and all that, but yeah, there's going to be some drama going on here. The next big game is the Orange Bowl. I'm really excited for this one. It's number 6 Michigan at 10-2 versus number 11 Florida State at 9-3. A lot of people think Michigan should be in the playoffs. I kind of agree with that. I think there's like they had that loss to Ohio State, but they are such a good team. Like I think that they deserve to be in the playoffs. Regardless, it didn't. That's the way the cookie crumbled. They didn't make it. So I think that this is gonna be fun. I think they have a lot of anger. They have they're gonna play hard. They're gonna play hard, and they have this great player in Jabril Peppers, and he was a Heisman candidate. I think it's gonna be great. And then Florida State, like they're not to knock off either. They have a great running back in Dalvin Cook, who many think that he was snubbed for the Doak Walker Award and snubbed for the Heisman. So I think it's going to be interesting and very talented two teams playing against each other. But I just think that there's a lot of like anger at like NCAA, everybody, rankings, the whole world. So it's going to be a fun game. I'm excited to watch that one. The next game that's a big game because of drama is the Citrus Bowl between number 20 LSU at 7-4 and number 13 Louisville at 9-3. The drama here is running back Leonard Fournette is doing the same thing Christian McCaffrey is doing. He's sitting out his last game, his bowl game, because he doesn't want to risk injury. He's been injured, and Leonard Fournette is probably going to be a first-round draft pick. He's incredible. I think he's the best running back into college football. That's just me. Some people don't agree with me. I think he is. He's fantastic. It's been really fun to watch him. I don't blame him. I'd sit out too. You're risking millions of dollars for the Citrus Bowl? No. So I think that's the drama on that end with LSU. All of his teammates seem to be fine with it. It's just the other people who have nothing to do with the situation who are upset. As far as Louisville is a very talented team. They have the Heisman winner on their team, Lamar Jackson, their quarterback. He's fantastic. Really talented guy. So he's going to be lighting it up in that game for sure. Louisville, as I said, they're ranked 13th. A lot of people thought that they would make the playoffs. I certainly did at the beginning of the season. They were killing it. Just kind of started falling back and back and back and back. But don't count them out. This is going to be a good game. I'm excited to see it. Of course, it's going to be different without Leonard Fournette on LSU, but I think they're a good team regardless. And this is going to be a fun game, but like the drama, it's exciting. And the next big game, like I said, I skipped the playoffs, and we're going to do the Rose Bowl. And the Rose Bowl is just a big deal because it's always a big deal. So this is going to be number 9 USC at 9-3 versus number 5 Penn State at 11-2. A lot of people also think that Penn State got snubbed in the playoffs. They should be in the playoffs, blah, blah, blah. I don't agree with that. They are a good team, but no, they should be in the playoffs. But the Rose Bowl is the granddaddy of them all. It's the best bowl game there can be. This is basically a home game for USC because the Rose Bowl is in Pasadena, California. And it's just going to be a fun game between those two teams. I think there's going to be just like a lot of energy, and these are two very, very like football rich schools. Like there's a lot of tradition in both of these schools, and it's going to be fun. The Rose Bowl just doesn't disappoint. Like that's a game like it's always good. So I'm excited for this one. It's going to be a fun matchup. No drama in this one, sadly. Well, actually, I guess a little bit of drama since Penn State feels snubbed. If Penn State were to go out there and blow out USC, which I don't see happening, I think that they'd be like, that would make a good case for why they should have been in the playoffs, though I still don't agree with they shouldn't have been in it. And the last big game to talk about is the Sugar Bowl between number 14 Auburn at 8-4 versus number 7 Oklahoma at 11-2. Alright, the stuff with here, there's a lot of stuff going on in this one. Oklahoma, well, Texas hates Oklahoma, so of course I'm going for Auburn in this one. Oklahoma was the top of the Big 12 this year, so the Big 12, like I said, did not make the playoffs, but number 7 is the closest we got, and that's Oklahoma, so they're going to be in this game. Right now, there's a lot of drama going on with OU. Their star running back, Joe Mixon, a video was recently released of him punching a woman. That happened in 2014. He sat out a season because of that as punishment, which really just became a redshirt season for him. And he will be in this game, and it's going to be a lot of drama surrounding that. A lot of people, especially since that video has come out, really want more punishment. I'm one of those people. I think that he got off pretty easy. So that's going to be a mess there. As far as Auburn, they haven't really done anything that we're like pissed off about. So everything's fine with Auburn. But really the issue is Oklahoma. It'll be interesting to see how that one goes. And that's all the big games to talk about. Those are all the big bowl games. And of course, please watch the playoffs. Those games are going to be great. I definitely recommend that. Don't miss those. It's going to be fun. I promise. They're going to be great. Alright guys, I hope you guys all have a very Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Have a great New Year. And I'll see you in 2017 for the next episode. Thanks so much, guys.